Hi, and welcome back to Sense and Sensitivity. I'm coming to you from my car because I think that's the only way I'm going to find any time to make videos these days. So it's been a long time, and this is really an update video with some food for thought, and then my coming videos will have some more reviews of products. So I hope everybody's having a good new year. I had planned on making a New Year's video, and now it's May, so here we are. But just a little update. My last video, which was a while ago, was about doing a no-buy. And basically that completely failed, and that failed because my skin has changed a lot since then. And so the products I was using weren't working for me anymore. And I think why my skin has changed, obviously the biggest reason is I'm pregnant again with my second child, and so that changes your hormones, and it's been a bit of a different experience so far this pregnancy. And so I think that, combined with the winter up here in the Pacific Northwest, just made my skin have different needs, which were a combination of being dry and were and are a combination of being dry and extra sensitive, but also much more breakout prone. And so, for example, I think one of the last products I talked about was the Le Prunier plum oil. And I was like raving about it because sensorially it's lovely. It smells really good if you like marzipan or that almond scent, and it's got this really nice thick texture. And so I was using that, but after a few weeks I started getting clogged pores all in this area, and once I stopped using it, they cleared up. So, and really through that process, my skin started disliking oils in general more and more, which is like the first time that's happened in the over a decade that I've been using oils in skincare. So, yeah, I'm not using any oils currently. I'll talk about my routine and products that I've been going through in those other videos. I'll go over some moisturizers and cleansers. But a lot has changed in the past few months. So, it's always a journey, definitely a lot more sensitivity, and just trying my best to keep up with everything, low maintenance but consistent. Um, so that's kind of that. I want to put some food for thought out there in this video, which is about skincare goals. And this is something that I've really thought about through just my own experience and experimentation, as well as listening to podcasts and interviews. Like there was one recently with Christina Holy, who works with Marie Veronique, and she talked a lot about skincare goals, approaches to skincare, and regimens and routines. And I've read some other things from other people as well. And so I just wanted to talk about that and how that might help inform your search for skincare and for caring for your skin. Um, and it's to, as you're thinking about what products you need, think about your skincare goals. And that is based on kind of like the baseline of where your skin is at currently and where you think it should be. And with that comes the necessity of being realistic. So I think it's so easy these days to think that perfect skin is realistic. And I think that comes in large part from media, famous people, and all of that. And so Jessica DeFino, who I think I've mentioned before, she's a beauty critic journalist, I guess you would call her. She has a lot of good food for thought on this idea of like beauty, capitalism, media, and all of these things. And for me, what it kind of boils down to is when we see people in magazines, in movies, etc., or even those photos of like celebrities, they're just like us and they're wearing no makeup and they're perfect. Never forget the amount of time and money put into these people looking and portraying themselves the way they do, whether that's time and money for makeup artists to make them look a certain way for roles, for movies, for television, for photo shoots, whether that's digital retouching to completely erase the pimple they had on their face and the cellulite on their thighs, or whether that's them in their personal life having the money and time to get peels, laser treatments, Botox, facelifts, chemical, this, that, and the other, which they may or may not admit to doing. Even just regular facials, stuff like that. So, you know, if you have that sort of time and money resource, maybe that can affect the way you develop your goals. But if you are like, I would say, most just average people, that is not our situation at all. And so fine lines, wrinkles, if you have a diagnosis of rosacea, having redness sometimes, even with the perfected skincare routine because you slept poorly or you're sick or the heater's on all the time. There are just so many factors affecting what our skin does, how it acts, and that's because it's a living organ that's always changing in reaction to the environment, both internal and external around it. And so we can't be in full control of that. And so I say that to hopefully help us take some of the pressure off of like, well, clearly this moisturizer isn't working because even though my skin feels hydrated, it's still red. And if I could just find the perfect moisturizer, my skin would be porcelain and it would be hydrated and plump, have no fine lines and no redness, and my broken capillaries would be gone, and etc., etc., and on and on. And that's just not realistic. And I think that drives a lot of us to keep trying products, which ends up spending our limited resources of time and money, and can even lead to irritation and things like that. So picking some goals, I think in the early stages of finding out you have rosacea, and realizing, that there's this condition that you need to treat, the goals can be things such as, how do I reduce the constant irritation feeling, the constant burning, tingling sensation? How can I rebuild my moisture barrier, right? How can I get the basics of a skincare routine down that will just help my skin kind of find its way back to a more happy medium? And so that's through things like gentle but effective cleansing, gentle but effective moisturizing, and sun protection that works for you, mineral, chemical, hats, staying out of the sun, things like that. And so those are really the basics, in addition to figuring out like food and environmental factors that affect you or that trigger you, and ingredients in skincare products. And so a product that I think is wonderful is the Marie Veronique Barrier Restore Serum. And that's really good for that barrier rebuilding. But there are other products on the market that I'm not familiar with, but that I've heard of, such as Crave Beauty's Great Barrier Relief Serum, or any sort of serum or moisturizer that, has ceramides, has ingredients, and talks about in their explanation that it's about rebuilding the barrier. And in addition to that, it's that cleansing step. Because if you're using a cleanser that's stripping your skin, making you feel dry and tight, that's breaking down your barrier constantly. So you need to get those steps right. Marie Veronique's Gentle Oil Cleanser, I think, is a really good one. My new dermatologist recommended using micellar water, and she said that's totally fine. So I've been playing around with that for a while, just using the SensiBio H2O by Bioderma, and then rinsing with cool water at the end. And that's been working really well too, and making me feel clean but not dried out. I'd always thought that was a no-no, but my dermatologist recommended it for people with sensitive, easily dried out skin. So that could be an option too. Or, looking into other gentle cleansers that are still effective at taking off sunscreen or makeup if you wear those things. So moving, and then as far as redness and tingling, I think one of the best products I've ever used is the SVR Sensiphene AR moisturizing cream or moisturizer. And I've talked about this in one of my first videos I ever made. It was very, very effective at reducing the burning and tingling sensation I used to get all through these areas all the time, all day long. And it has this ingredient, I think it's called endotheliol, or they've patented it, I'm not sure, as that. So whatever it is, it's supposed to help with that sensation. And I think it really does a good job. And it's not super expensive. You can get it for like $17 on Amazon. It's not a super moisturizing cream. So if you have dry skin, you might need an additional product, whether that's a serum underneath or a secondary cream on top that's more occlusive. But it's very, very effective at helping with some of the redness, but really that tingling and burning sensation. So I think picking one goal in an area like that is realistic when you're first starting out. Or if you go to a dermatologist, they may give you Metrogel, or they may give you Soolantra, or they may give you azelaic acid, one of those, in addition to that gentle cleansing and moisturizing, to help with the bumps if you have type 2 rosacea. And so that would be a good goal, is just reducing the inflammation and flare-ups and those bumps, right? After that, if you find after, a period of time that you're more in balance, then you might want to add in a new goal, whether that's if you have melasma or sunspots, maybe it's trying to see if there's a vitamin C product which can help lighten that. And those are, can be very effective if used regularly. And there's vitamin C derivatives on the market that are more gentle. Again, Marie Veronique has a lovely vitamin C serum called the C Therapy Serum that's very, very effective, but very costly. And then I also know that Vanicream has come out with a vitamin C derivative sensitive skin serum. I haven't tried it, but I'm loving a lot of stuff from Vanicream lately. So I think that one would be worth trying out if that's a goal of yours. Brightening the skin, things like that. And so, at that point, you might keep up with your barrier repair serum or whatever product you're using a few times a week, and then slowly start incorporating this vitamin C. Or maybe it's anti-aging or whatever we want to call it, and it's incorporating a retinol or a retinol derivative. And Dr. Sam Bunting has some good videos on this, and how even for people with rosacea, retinol at the right stage can be very, very effective. Not when you're in the throes of a flare-up or at the beginning of your journey or things like that, but once you're in this more balanced state. Like, for example, I feel like with where I am now, if I wasn't pregnant and or breastfeeding, retinol would be something that would be probably okay to introduce. And maybe I will down the line once I'm out of my baby period of time. But, because I feel like my skin is pretty stable. It still has flare-ups and I overheat and I have extra sensitivity, but overall I know how to manage it at that basic level. But again, I wouldn't try to right away decide to try to work on anti-aging, brightening the skin, sunspot removal, and building my barrier, and like doing everything all at the same time. That's too much. It's gonna irritate your skin, and it's just not realistic. And then you can't tell which product is effective or not, or irritating you or not. So you really have to be systematic with these things and go slowly and have realistic expectations of it takes months. It takes lots of time, and there's ups and downs depending, again, stress, environment, internal, all of those things. So I hope that's helpful. I really, really want to encourage you to think about picking a goal to help direct your journey so that you're um, being efficient, not feeling overwhelmed, and not wasting your time and money on lots of different products, getting frustrated when the first thing doesn't work. I'm using azelaic acid right now for my back, which I've got developed acne during pregnancy, which I'd never had in my life. I'm going to start trialing it on my face at some point, which my dermatologist said was fine. But for now, it's the product she recommended because most acne ingredients aren't safe in pregnancy. And it took over a month to start seeing results, but now it's really helping it. But for that first month, it was so frustrating to feel like, man, I'm following the directions, I'm applying it, and nothing. I'm breaking out constantly, blah, blah, blah. But I know enough to know things take time. And when the doctor says, it can take a month or more, that I can't quit after a week and a half when it's not working and say, doctor, it's not working, give me something else, right? So we have to jump on the bandwagon with being systematic, taking things slowly, giving things the time they need, keeping them separate so we can track and truly understand what does and doesn't work for us. And then embrace the skin as a living, changing organism, and that we have environmental factors and sun and just time that change our skin. We're going to need to adapt to that. And it's also probably nearly impossible to maintain our skin looking one certain idealized way forever. And to do that is gonna lead to heartbreak and a lot of time that could be spent on other more happy endeavors, if we're overly focused on perfecting small things. So hopefully you can, kind of reorient yourself to your skin, your body, and your skin's health. Think about the goals that really do matter and are realistic and start targeting them systematically through your own research, through the help of a dermatologist or an esthetician or a professional that you work with if you have somebody. And just take the baby steps, take it slow to help your skin find its balance. I hope you find that information interesting and useful. I will be back in upcoming videos with more reviews for products that I am liking and disliking lately. And we'll just keep going. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for more content. Bye for now.